I'm joined now by the three Democrats who are running to replace Congressman Ed Perlmutter, who represents Colorado's 7th Congressional District, the northern and the western suburbs of Denver. Thank you all for being here. State Senator Andy Kerr of Lakewood, State Representative Brittany Pedersen of Lakewood, and State Senator Dominic Moreno of Commerce City. Here together for the first time all at once because you just announced this morning.
That's correct.
All right. So we'll talk to the Republicans once they get into the race. For now, it's you three Democrats. Kumbaya is a beautiful song, but everybody knows the words. So let's try to figure out where you might differ on issues and approaches and things like that. Begin with a lightning round here. Will all of you be supporting the eventual Democratic nominee?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Would any of you like to name a bad decision that Ed Perlmutter has made while in Congress?
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
No.
Seems like a no. Okay.
I question sometimes his fashion choices, but other than that, you know.
Very good. Do any of you agree with Congressman Al Green of Texas that Congress should begin impeachment proceedings against President Trump?
I would say that there is certainly some things happening that absolutely.
Looking for a yes or a no?
I would say yes.
I think that we need to make sure that we have answers for the American people. I don't think that we're at a place where we can actually impeach him yet, but I think that we need answers and we need them quickly.
To talk about something serious like impeachment, you better have your facts lined up, so I think we need to wait for that.
Okay. Would all of you feel comfortable voting for Nancy Pelosi for Majority Leader if Democrats win the House?
I don't know.
I'm going to focus on winning this election, and then we'll see if she's even running for the leadership position.
I'd love to see if there are other candidates who can lead our party.
That was awful squishy there. All right, let's get into some deeper answers now. Here's your opportunity to give Democratic primary voters and unaffiliated who might choose to vote in the primary your stump speech, but I would like you to focus it around what you think you would bring to the race that nobody else at this table or in the race can bring to Congress. And begin with you, Senator Moreno.
So I think I bring a different perspective. Obviously, I was born and raised in Adams County. That's where I serve. You know, those folks are interested in making sure that you know, the issues aren't different across the district. It's the core issues of making sure that folks have a quality job, educational options for their kids. So you know, that what I bring to the table, I think, is my different levels of experience, where I come from, and my different expertise. I'm the only member on this panel who has served in a local government. I'm the only person that served on the budget committee at the state capitol. I think those are skills that will come invaluable in Congress.
Representative Pedersen, something that you bring to the race that you don't see elsewhere?
I think in general, we have people that are running for office for Congress that are far out of touch with people in their districts. I don't like to talk about my opponents, and you know, we're friends and colleagues. But I can say that the reason why I started getting involved and dedicated my career to fighting for regular people is that far often we don't see the people that actually step up and run for office that are in it for the right reasons, that care about their communities and more about what they're going to do than what they want to be. I think that people across the district continue to struggle. We need people that actually understand those struggles and are going to fight for those people. I mean, we have incredible challenges facing families across Colorado. Even though our economy is thriving, people are not actually, too many people have been left behind.
All right, and Senator Kerr, something that you see that you could bring to Congress in this race that you don't see elsewhere?
Right. You know, one thing why I first ran for office was because I knew that the politicians in the Colorado Capitol were not listening to the parents and to the classroom teachers in my district or anywhere across Colorado. That's why I ran. As a classroom teacher, I bring that experience. I bring the experience of raising my 3 kids and knowing the struggles that folks in our district are going through. And you know, one thing I don't think we have enough of in Congress are people with that real life experience, especially being a classroom teacher. Being a parent who has to drive their kids to lacrosse or swimming or going to the Boy Scout events, those are the things that I think I bring to the table that the folks in my district are really interested in.
I'm curious what you all think should be the approach by Democrats in Congress to dealing with the Trump administration. What should the basic outlook and approach be? And is there anything that you've heard from the president that you say, hey, I could support that? Representative Pedersen.
There hasn't been one thing that I've supported that the Trump administration is putting forward. even their infrastructure investment, I worry about privatizing some of our public investments there. So while I support the idea of investing in infrastructure, I definitely don't think that they're doing that in the right way. I think that they are threatening working families across Colorado at every single level. And so I definitely don't support anything that they're doing.
Okay, Senator Moreno, anything that you hear that you say we could collaborate there?
So I don't support a lot of the proposals that are coming from Trump and congressional Republicans, but you know, I think it's important to be for something and not just against something. And so, you know, the platform that I'm running from is making sure that I run for something, that I run for quality jobs for folks, that I run for quality education for people, that we are investing in our infrastructure. And I actually think, you know, the administration is doing its best to try to find some funding for infrastructure. I would agree with, you know, Representative Pedersen that maybe it's not the right way to do it by privatizing our public infrastructure, but they are at least trying to do that. So I would like to work with congressional Republicans to find solutions to infrastructure, to our traffic problems, especially in Colorado, because we are growing incredibly.
Senator Kirk, collaborate or resist?
You know, some of the things that the president mentioned on the stump around infrastructure was enticing, but I think we've seen that nothing he said on the stump has any bearing with what he's doing while in office. And we've just seen one thing after another as a disaster. Just in the last week, I mean, his budget, the cuts to education, the school district that I work for and my kids go to are looking at millions of dollars in cuts because of this administration. The only thing I need to work on there is to fight against those cuts going to our schools and going to our kids. We have the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Congressional District 7. That's hundreds and hundreds of well-paying jobs, not to mention the infrastructure, the energy research that goes in there, and the cuts that are could possibly be coming down from this administration will be horrific in our district. So at this point, I don't hold out hope that there's much to work on with him.
And Senator Kerr, I'm going to start with you on this last question because you've gotten the last bite of the apple the last two times here. I think we could probably all agree that Ed Perlmutter has made this seat look safer than it actually is. When you look at the breakdown, he's found a way to win a lot of votes from unaffiliated voters and from moderate Republicans. So I would like to hear from each of you on what your plan would be to build or hold together that Perlmutter coalition. What can you point to in your past work that shows outreach to folks who are unaffiliated, apolitical, or even conservative?
Absolutely. You know, what I think is a hallmark of my career at the state legislature is taking my own personal experiences and turning them into good public policy. And within that, I have had 5 tough races where in districts that split pretty evenly between Democrats, Republicans, and independents in both the House and the Senate. I have served in the minority and the majority in both the House and the Senate. And I think you can ask anyone down at the legislature that I've been a very effective legislator, turning, again, my personal experiences being a teacher, being a father, being a husband, and turning those experiences into good public policy, especially around the decisions we've had to make around schools.
Senator Moreno, what can you point to that shows that you could hold the Perlmutter coalition of moderates and even some moderate Republicans, conservatives?
Congressman Perlmutter has done an incredible job at broadening that coalition, appealing to moderate Republicans and unaffiliated voters, and he set a great example, and it's an example that I plan to follow when I get to Congress. One specific thing that I've done is I actually carried the legislation to allow unaffiliated voters to vote in primaries before it passed at the ballot. You know, that was important to me because I think democracy is about creating a bigger tent, not limiting folks just based on their party affiliation. So I know that now that will be an interesting dynamic coming forward in a primary, and I'm actually excited for the opportunity to make my case to both my Democratic base voters and those unaffiliated voters who are now welcome to participate in our primaries.
And lastly, you, Representative Pedersen.
Thank you. Well, I think that, you know, I've been an effective legislator at reaching across the aisle. We have split chambers, so while I've served in the majority, you can't get anything done unless you actually have support in the Senate. I carried one of the biggest bills that the governor has been talking about on being one of the three on the most important, well, the most effective session this year. Sorry, in his term. And so I've always reached across the aisle to get things done. While Congress is actually looking at slashing Medicaid, we worked across the aisle, got a bill through to look at the feasibility of including a Medicaid benefit for inpatient substance use disorder treatment. We have a crisis facing our state and our nation on drug abuse and addiction. And so I've been incredibly proud of the work that I've done, and I couldn't have done it without my friends across the aisle.
Thank you all for being here. We'll take this opportunity for all the folks who are watching the extended version on YouTube or on Facebook to note that Representative Petterson's significant other, her fiance, is a familiar face, Ian Silveri, who is our Democratic analyst. He's not covering this particular race, but I think we probably know how he's voting. Safe travels to all of you as you travel around the suburbs. The first of many conversations, I assume, where the three of you are going to be seated together. Thank you all.
Thanks for having us.